Let's make a fun bookmark. I need mine for this planner right here, and I'm going to use a vintage photo of my mom and place her into a more modern context. Welcome to Junk Journal Snacks. It's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So if you don't have any family photos that you'd like to use for this and you are in need of some vintage photos, you can find a link to some digital vintage photos below. But if you have family photos, I think this is a really fun project, and you don't even have to make it into a bookmark. You can use it as a journaling card, a tuck spot, or whatever you like for your journal. I printed this on 200 GSM cardstock, but I could have just as well printed it on regular copy paper. So whatever you have, just print on that. You could even do it with an original photo if you're not afraid of using an original photos. Maybe you have some that you've bought at a flea market or someplace that you don't mind altering. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut away this background. And I also want to cut away these pieces here in between. So I'll use a craft knife for that. I love this photo of my mom. I guess she was either 16 or 17. And as you can see from the way she's dressed, she was about to go to a ball. And I think she would have gone with my dad. Obviously, they were not married yet. So the first thing I want to do is replace my mom's dress into something more modern. So I need to have the shape of the dress to be able to cut a piece out to cover her dress. So I'm going to take some tracing paper or vellum and just trace that dress. In this case, what's not ideal is that her hands are in front of the dress. But I think to cut these out precisely is too much of a hassle. So I'm just going to cover her dress as if her arms were not there, because I think her arms could just as well be behind her back. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to bother with that. So I'm just going to draw the silhouette of the dress. So it's easier if you pick an image where that person doesn't have anything in front of their clothes. Then I need to cut this shape out, and we can double check by laying this over the dress to see if I cut it correctly. The important thing is that it's not smaller than the dress underneath, because we wanted to cover her dress, but I think that should be fine. And now I need to choose what paper we're going to use instead to make this more modern. Originally, my idea was to take this paper, which is one of the papers I recently made for my little art journal, just by brayering and then adding some stenciling on top. And I thought this would look actually really cool on a dress. But then, because I was looking for a substrate to put my bookmark on, I was looking through some old packaging that I had saved, and I came across this, which I believe is from Egypt. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have this unique wording there on the dress, because obviously each of our moms are unique. So I think that could be really fun. Love the bold colors, it looks modern. So I'm going to try that. And if that is no good, then I can still go back to this idea. So I need to trace the shape again and cut that out again. Look how cool these large numbers would be in an art journal. So always check your packaging. So let's see if this worked. I think it did. It's a bit crooked down here, but I can even that out. I can cut it straight here, and I think it's cute. And I think I'll ink up the edges. I'll use my walnut stain. Then I'll go ahead and glue that on. I'm just thinking it might be really cute to print out the same photo, like maybe 3 times. And to give that person 3 different outfits. You know what I mean? I think that could look really fun. Maybe I want to color in her gloves. Should we just make them orange? I'm going to use this water-soluble colored pencil in orange because I don't want them to be so flashy. I'll add some water. That will make it a little more smooth. Then I need to decide on a background. Since I didn't use this for the dress, I could use it for the background. That would totally work. I think she comes out really well there. The other option is I have this print out from my scrapbooking paper kit. This is one of the more plain pages. I will link these backgrounds for you below in case you want to have a look at them. That's also really cool. Maybe put her like that. I kind of love how the flowers are coming out like that. Yeah, I like this one better. So then I have this piece of chocolate paper, my favorite chocolate. And I think this has a pretty good size. So I'm going to just cut around this piece and then I might have to trim it in height a little bit. So here's my piece of cardboard. I can't really put Mom in the middle because it looks weird that she's cut off, unless I would add something else down here. Otherwise, if I put her down here, this is a bit long. I mean, the flower is that high. Now let's see what it looks like if I don't trim it down. So I've mounted it. So if I put Mom down here on the bottom, yeah, I think it's a bit much up here. So I think I'll put her a little bit more up like this and then cut this part off. I think that's a bit better, or maybe even a little bit higher. Then I just decided I want to make this into a tag shape, so I'll just cut away the two corners. Then we need to ink this up. And maybe you remember, if you've seen this video, that, you know, this is my grandma. I gave her butterfly wings just like I did in the digitals here to the men. So here, for example, I have butterfly wings. But of course, in this case, it's my mom. And since it's my mom, they need to be dragonfly wings, obviously. So there's two color options that I see in front of me. One would be to stick with the orange, to cut them out from this here. That's a lot of orange. The other option again is to use this paper, which could be interesting. And if I use this one, then the question is, do I use this part where it has a lot of white, or do I take the parts which are like more blue and gold? Those would be a little bit more visible. I'm just going to try maybe the blue version first. So how do I do this? I know you can't really see it, but hopefully you'll see when I cut them out. Trying to get the proportion right so that they're visible and so that they look like dragonfly wings and not weird butterfly wings. Okay, let me cut those out. Let's put them to the test. I erased the pencil lines. What do we think? Do they look like dragonfly wings? I think they do. Yeah, they don't look like butterfly wings. How about we make them a little bit more prominent by embossing them? I'll take my embossing pen. And then I thought I would try this speckled egg embossing glaze. Let's see what that will look like. Super curious how this is going to look. So they're definitely shiny. I'm not sure if the color actually changed now, but I think I want a thicker glossy coat on it. So I'm going to also add some clear embossing powder over that. Also, I've missed a few spots with my embossing pen, so I'll just go over the whole thing again. That will obviously remelt also the speckled egg embossing powder. I think my mom would enjoy dragonfly wings. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but they are, whoops, they are more glossy now. And they have a thicker coat, so that's good. Okay, I'll glue these elements down. Probably makes sense to first glue the wings onto the back. So we can see the shiny dragonfly wings now. And I also want to make her headband orange to match the dress and the gloves. Maybe we'll add a flower or something in her hair. So I found these die cuts. These are left over from the other project with my grandma, so maybe one of these will fit. That's too big. Yeah, it's a bit too solid. That's totally cute. Let's try the smallest one. That's even cuter, isn't it? Yep. This is the one. And am I keeping it in yellow? I think if I add orange to it, it's going to be too much orange. I don't want the blue because I want only the dragonfly wings to be blue. And we already have yellow here, but in a darker version. So I think the yellow is going to work well. I also found this bird. Let's try that just for fun. I don't know the relevance, but I just want to see what it would look like. He would be covering up the flower. I would do my best to cut this white part out. I mean, it's fun, but yeah, no. That's not going to happen. It would also be fun to add a little bead there. Super cute. But I want this to be a flat bookmark. So unfortunately, the bead is not going to work for me. And I don't have any sequins that will work. I think all of my sequins are quite large. But I did find this can opener. And that might be a really fun topper. And I wonder if I could paint this with my acrylic ink. I've never tried that. So let's see what happens. I also now took away this inner ring that you usually have because that made it unnecessarily bulky. So now it's nice and flat. And I just used my jewelry tools for that. Like the same thing you would use to cut like the wires. So I have this Amsterdam Reflex Orange acrylic ink. Let's see what will happen. That would be so cool if that would stick on there. Let's let it dry. So I used my heat gun on it because obviously I can't wait for hours. So now it built like this skin because it was bubbling a little bit. But this might be a good base to add another coat. And hopefully that will stick better to the surface now. So this is after coat 2 is dry. I also used my heat gun and you see it has these wrinkles which look really weird. So let's add some embossing powder. Embossing powder makes everything better. We'll see. If you use your heat gun on metal, obviously, please be careful because it's going to be very hot. Oh, see, this is still moving. I don't think I've ever used embossing powder on metal. But why not? It looks super weird. Let's add another coat. So the interesting effect that this has now is it looks very plasticky because it's like shiny, yeah, shiny acrylic ink looks plasticky. How does it look on our tag? I like it. It's not the same orange as down here. This is a lot more yellow, but still like the pop of color up there. Yep, let's do it. So let's find a brad. I need one that's large enough. Hopefully these will work. How about silver? Yes, it totally works. So let's trace the hole so I know where to punch. Take my crocodile and attach our plasticky can pull tab, whatever it's called. But now we're missing one more super important detail. Hidden away in my wooden stamp collection, I have a very special one. And it's really hard to see. It's right here. It is the tiniest stamp ever. And look what it has. It's a dragonfly. First, my idea was to have a few of these dragonflies fly around her. I can't add 49, unfortunately. But now I just had the idea, why don't we say that my mom got a tattoo, which she never would have done. And that obviously would have been a dragonfly. Now that could either be on her arm, but I think even cuter would be right here over her heart. I think a true dragonfly mom would have a dragonfly tattoo over her heart. I'm not sure how happy my mom would be with this. Okay, I first need to try this on a scrap to see how it looks. Just to see how it stamps. Oh, it's a perfect stamp. Oh my goodness. How cute is this? I wish I could link this for you, but I bought this years ago locally. Okay, let's do this. And it's going to be facing her face. So that's her dragonfly tattoo. Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. And she had no idea her daughter would turn into a dragonfly. Oh, I cannot tell you what this does in me. When I have this now in my planner, it's going to be like mom is watching over me. Oh my gosh, I'm tearing up. Whew. My mom was always a supporter of my creative passions, and she wanted me to have an education in that field, but it just didn't work out. And I think she would be so pleased to see that I actually found a way to follow my passion and even earn money with it. Yeah, I think that would make her super happy. Whew, I was not expecting to get emotional. See what these kind of projects can do with you. It's amazing. And now all of a sudden, like similarly like the experience I had with my grandmother, I feel so much closer to my mom right now. It's just beautiful. I really hope you will try something like this with family photos and you will see what this does with you. It's therapeutic. It's so special for me to have her be part of my journal planner journal, whatever you want to call it, because that means she is now part of my, I don't know how to describe it, everyday planning of my creative business. You know what I mean? She's now part of it. It's really hard to explain, but I think you understand. Woo! So she goes really well with these pages. There's a lot happening here. And it's super fun to see my grandma as a child with, I don't know, 3-4 years, something like that. Then my grandma with, I think 10 years, was it here? I forgot again. And my mom being older than her grandma now, but she's kind of watching over them. This is just getting so bizarre. So, Mom, you can stay here for now. Watch over your grandma. And the cool thing is that every time I see the back side, I'm going to want to eat chocolate. Good job, Barbara. That was not the plan. Anyway, please have fun with your photos. And if you don't have your own, you can check out my printables. But most important of all, just have fun in your journal, planner, journal, whatever. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.